Just a couple of minutes before 8 o'clock, but of course we still continue to bring you very, very imperative conversations this morning. The rental market in Namibia affects both people looking at, or rather looking for homes, and landlords who rent out property. Rent prices, tenants' rights, and fair agreements are some of the main challenges that people face. Now, to help us understand this better, we are joined by real estate agent Ms. Selma Mulungu. Ms. Selma, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Absolute pleasure. It's a conversation that a lot of people are talking about. Of course, a lot of young people, professionals, want to be, of course, rather be speaking about this conversation. But from your experience, how would you describe the current rental market in Namibia?
As most people would actually describe it right now, it's crazy. The prices have increased close to double, I would say. Yeah, so the rental market is gone up. I would say it's the landlord's market right now.
So what actually attributes the amount that it actually gets to be increased to? Who gets to value that, and why does actually it makes it? Where do the figures actually are valued? Where are the figures valued for this to be actually just be a skyrocketed price out of nowhere?
So right now it's because of a shortage of supply. There's a high demand and a shortage of actually property that are out there.
Right.
What I've noticed in the market is that most people are turning their units into Airbnbs, especially those that are central. You also find in Sibabasia, Rocky Crest, people are turning their units into Airbnb. So this causes us to have like a shortage of supply. So whatever is left in the market, the landlords are making use of that opportunity and actually pricing them to more than what they actually should be.
Sometimes one would actually think then it's probably because of the utilities, perhaps the water, the electricity that perhaps then pushes the price up, but it actually is not.
That also plays a role, actually, because I think if it wasn't earlier this year, it was sometime last year where City of Windhoek also increased their rates.
Right.
So that was also like a contributing factor. But I think for this year specifically, it's because of the shortage of the supply of the properties.
Does location also play a role in or rather how rent prices are actually going to be rising? Because we know the capital of Windhoek, of course, Walfish Bay, and other towns such as Swakopmund as well also have quite high rental prices. What are perhaps the geographical effects of this?
It does play a major role because when you look at Windhoek, Walvis, and Swakopmund, that's where people come to when they're looking for jobs, right? We come from our little towns, Grootfontein or whatever, and then we move to this capital city for better opportunities. So that's where most people are situated, and it's basically the central of Namibia. So that's where most people come to. So the increase in prices in those areas are a little bit higher than the smaller towns.
The question that a lot of people have been asking is the protection of tenants. You know, a lot of people say that tenants are not protected in the country when it comes to unfair rent, even as far as eviction as well. Talk to us about your experience in what you have noticed in the industry thus far, as far as the tenant protection and the eviction notices as well, how that has played out, and what actually are some of the things that needs to be done right.
Okay, I've noticed that most people actually don't know their rights when it comes to this, because when you're evicting somebody, you can't just wake up the next morning and say, no, you're supposed to leave my place. There are certain procedures and rules that are in place. For example, you need to, as a real estate agent, I have to make sure that I put in a notice. For example, draft you a notice saying that, hi, you've been in violation of this rule and all of that, and we are giving you notice to move out, say 1 month. And also we have rental agreements in place which protect not only the tenant but also the landlord.
Right.
So we just encourage actually our tenants to make sure that before you sign any lease agreement, just make sure that you have read your lease agreement and you understand what you're getting yourself into.
So what rights do landlords also then have if the tenant fails to pay or rather damages property?
The landlords actually ask for a deposit. Some of them ask for 2 months deposit, depending on the type of property that there is.
Which we know hardly comes back.
Yeah, no, it does. It does,
Right.
but it just, if you as a tenant ensure that the place is well kept, right? And before moving in, also just make sure that you do a proper inspection of the place. Take pictures if you have to. Just keep record of how the place looked like. And then when moving out, we also do a similar inspection just to say what was broken, what is intact, and all of that. And if everything is proper, then you get your deposit back. Yeah.
What's the best way to actually make sure that, both the landlord and the tenant actually, have some sort of benefit from the agreement that they actually get to go into?
I would say like transparency, balance, trying to protect both the tenant and the landlord, and then also just communication. And like I say, I advise the tenants and the landlords to actually read the contract. Make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. If, for example, if the contract says you have to give a 1-month calendar notice, right? And then you want to wake up and say, no, tomorrow I'm moving out. You're obviously going to forfeit your deposit because you did not understand your contract. So just ensure that you read the contract and you actually know what you're getting yourself into.
Very well. Yeah. And do you think there are some certain things that one needs to take in consideration, especially if you want or if you need to change or improve the Namibia's rental market to make it fair for everyone? Because you find a lot of people wanting to move in certain areas, or rather seeing certain areas that have prices doubling as much as the full price of the rent.
Yeah.
What actually needs to be done? Who needs to be held accountable for this when it comes to rental prices, skyrocketing to some values that are actually sometimes not even understood?
Yeah. Unfortunately, right now, I would say the way that I would say, like the way out of this that I would suggest is that if we can create more affordable housing, because the people that are actually renting are the people from the middle class to the lower class. Right. And if we can develop more housing that are specifically for these people, like around 1 million, 1.1 or lower, then we'll have more people buying their own properties, and there wouldn't be like a fluctuation or too much demand on the rental properties. Very so at least we'll have a diversifier of some people buying their own properties because they have affordability, and then there'll be some for rental as well.
Very well. Yeah. For a young person who's out trying to find rental or a rental for the first time, what is your advice to them, and how can they go about, what are some of the things they really strongly need to consider?
Do your proper research and make sure that you're actually working with somebody that understands the market and that's also legitimate when it comes to a real estate agent. Yeah. And if you're working with a landlord, just make sure that this person actually owns the property. If you have to ask for like a municipal bill or something like that. And don't pay your deposit to somebody, because I've seen a lot of people being scammed. So don't pay your deposit to somebody that you haven't met, you haven't viewed the property, and then, because people are desperate as well right now. So they're just setting their deposit. And then also, make sure that you inspect the place when you're moving in. Like I said, take pictures, just have an inventory of how the place looks like, and then also read your contract properly.
Absolutely. Selma Mulungu, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Very, very important tips that you provided for us and our viewers this morning. Of course, we hope to speak to you again on future matters, or rather, stressful opportunities, rather, that are, of course, affecting the rental market. But thank you so much. We wish you all the best. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Rental market dynamics is the topic we're discussing this morning with Selma Mulungu, who is who is a real estate agent